Hi everyone, it's Nicole Kelleher from My Christmas. That's mychristmas.com.au, and nice to be with you this Sunday evening. For us in Melbourne, week one of our second lockdown. So that's why we're back on here giving you some decorating tips to try and fill your days with some inspiration and ideas and keep each other a little sane. So thank you very much for joining me. I have Hugh behind the camera for me tonight.
Hello.
And he's there to answer any questions that you might have. If you happen to be watching a replay of this, I do come back on here and try and answer any questions, or you can always direct message me if you've got any specific questions about what you've seen. I've got really exciting ideas and new forms of inspiration we're going to be bringing to you over the next couple of weeks. So on Wednesday I showed you a few of the new theatre imports pieces that we had some samples of, and I said I'd have a little bit of a play with them and create some tabletop pieces. So what I've got here is the large gingerbread man. Now I will go back onto my computer and tag the products after this, so it'll have the prices, because I don't remember the price of every single item that I've got showing you tonight, because I've actually got a lot of stuff I'm showing you. So keep an eye, if you're interested in anything particular, go back to the website and then you'll be able to see the prices for it, or back onto Facebook Live, I'm sorry, and then we'll have the links. So what I've done here is I've just simply filled my little pot. I'm just using a small pot with some florist foam. I've just wedged it in there tight so that it doesn't move around. I've actually cut the stem off this piece. I've got a lot to show you, so I've done a bit of prep tonight to keep the time down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with a really large bow. Now, of course, if you've got a bow, you've got just thin wires, and they're not going to be able to attach to your florist foam there. So I've just tied on a cut off of one of my other picks. In fact, it's this one. It's the end of that one. I've tied that on as tightly as I can so that I can use that and wedge it into the piece. Just trim these off. So please, any questions, feed them through as we go. And what I've got to be gentle, because this is only held on by a little bit of wire, so I'm going to use my finger to hold it in place. And I actually want to just put it in the front, and it's big and bulky, and I'll just have a quick look myself and see that it's sitting right and, you know, bold, and that's what I'm looking for with this. And so you've got sort of two focal points. You've got your ribbon and you've got your gingerbread girl. And then once we've got our main focal points in place, then what we can do is simply fill. So I'm using some of our glittery picks in pink, white and green, or green, and all I want to do is, I just have to quickly have a look to get this sort of centered here. So we just want to get that sitting nicely in there, and then we're going to fill around it. You can cut these into smaller pieces, or you can work with a large one. I'm actually going to cut this into 3 stems and work it through. I always get questions when I'm on here about this cutter. It's from America. It would retail here around $400. I am getting some more ribbon from that company over the next couple of months, and I am going to double check the prices for you. So I will certainly have it on our website if we have any luck getting it at a reasonable price with shipping and so forth. And all I want to do here is just fill this out. You always want to make sure that you're working in more than one dimension. So you don't want it to be flat that way. You want to make sure you've got some spread out to the sides as well. So I am going to use a bit of this even at the back, just so you can, when you see it, you can see that there's some pieces coming through the back. And then I found I had some little pieces cut off from a previous Facebook Live that I had, so it was just a larger pick, very small, but I figured I could probably just get them into the foam there. Might as well use them, bend them slightly, and if you've got pieces like this, it's like when you talk to florists, they try to use everything that they've got on a stem, and we want to do the same thing here, so we're not wasting good picks all the time when we could just be using some filler pieces. I do like to use the wet florist foam, so the green foam rather than the one that's actually designed for artificial flowers. I just find it's a lot easier to put the pieces in. If you had really heavy artificial pieces you would need the other foam because it is a stronger hold, but I just find for moving things in and out it's a lot easier. So I think we need some more up the back. So sometimes when you're looking you can see you can get away with small pieces, other times you know you need a whole bigger stem to work into your display. I don't like to overdo these. I don't think, you know, your gingerbread is the focal point. I'm kind of happy with that. I'll just get that bending down a little bit. So I'm just using the shape of the stems to reposition it slightly. And that's a really simple way of working a gingerbread to make a centerpiece out of a bigger focal point. That particular piece came on a pick, so it's sold that way. The other ones I'm going to show you weren't, and I had to rejig them. So I showed you last week with some of these. We've got some sample pieces from our supplier. So I thought I would have a bit of fun and try making a centerpiece with these. These did not come with stems on them, so I've glued a cut-off of one of my picks onto the back. And then for this piece, because I wanted to get it on an angle, I've got glitter in my throat, I actually cut the fabric so I could stick the pick end into the foam, which is the middle of these. I've done the same on the cake, cutting the fabric and putting the pick into that. These ones are hanging pieces, but I obviously don't want to use them for hanging, so I'm going to cut these off. $15.50 for the cake, I think $19.95 for that one, $17.50 for the ice cream. Give you a few ideas. And then I've done a simple bow at the front and just put it in place. I decided I was going to use like an urn that I got from the shop, and then I remembered I had this great container here in white, which suits the colouring of what I'm going to do, and I just thought I would keep it pretty simple. I had the foam already in there, so I'd done another piece for you guys using this before, I think for Mother's Day, and so I've just made a very simple bow. Now there's lots of videos on our Facebook Lives on making bows, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. And then I like to place the bigger pieces and then fill with the smaller pieces. Having said that, I'm going to get just a little bit of the smaller stock into the middle first, so that I'm not trying to reposition everything once I'm done. So let me just get a couple of these in here. And I'm spraying them out a little bit as I go too, so that they have more body to them. You always want to play a little bit with your picks before they go into your pieces. I'll get one more and then let's get the bigger pieces in. Now you're going to have to excuse me again for a sec while I look at these while I just put the first ones in, so I know what I'm doing. I kind of wanted it all spraying out of the bucket a little bit, and that's why I put some of these things on a bit of an angle. Including the donut. Okay, let's just start so you can see how it's sort of, how I've just got the pieces kind of hanging over the edge, always working with the full shape rather than just going up or just going straight. What else have I got here? Got my gingerbread men, let's get them into place. Okay, so that's obviously, we've got the main shape coming out the front, so now we need to make sure we get that dimension with all the sprays that we're going to use, sticking to the pink and the white and the green again. Using any cut-offs you've already got, shaping them out. As I say, make sure you kind of bend some of them down so they come out of your piece as well on that angle. See how much that makes a big difference when you give it that shape as well. Do that on the other side. And then we just want to work these into the locations and get some of the other colours in here as well. And then let's just get a little bit of pink in. Now, as you know, you can twiddle and play with these things for ages. But really, you get down to pedantics where you're playing just for the sake of playing. It's not always necessary to keep going, to fill every nook and cranny. No one else is going to notice. Yes, if I had this somewhere where people were going to be looking in the inside, I would fill it with some greenery. So I cut a centerpiece. I keep one of my cheapest centerpieces as a backup for greenery that I can use to fill on the inside of these types of pieces. How are we going? Last piece in.
Yep.
And just get that in. There. Well, I think that's pretty cute.
Yep.
So that's how simple it is. Using again our focal, using a few bigger pieces rather than all small. So one larger piece with the bow and then the foliage, or something like this where you're spraying out a lot more pieces, using nothing's quite as large as that one, but you're using a lot of bigger pieces to give you that overall impact. So they're two ideas. All those pieces, as I said, the cakes were samples that we got. So just so you know, if you particularly like the ice creams or the cakes, there's only a couple of those left. They were samples that we got from our suppliers, so direct message me if you're interested in those. These we're getting into stock. This one and this piece are all coming into stock, and of course we've already got the ribbon in stock.